Okay, so now we're going to continue and look at some more examples. And so remember that we need to take and multiply the product of the squared term and the number term, because that's how we're going to unlock what those middle terms need to be rewritten as. So we need things that multiply in this case to be negative 30, and then add to be the middle term, which in this case is 1. So we do our search just like we did in the previous factoring that we did. And so we search for those factors. Again, I recommend you kind of putting yourself to work a little bit. Pause the video, find the factors. And so the pair of numbers that we need in this case are negative 5 and a positive 6. They have to multiply to be negative 30, so one's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. They have to add to be a positive 1, so that's why the 6 is positive and the 5 is negative. Now, when we do that, at this point we're now going to replace that x in the middle with those two numbers. So in this case, negative 5x plus 6, or if you wanted to do 6x, or if you wanted to do it the other way, 6x minus 5x. So we go in there and we rewrite that as 15x squared minus 5x plus 6x minus 2. Okay, again, I encourage you to pause the video and do your factoring by grouping. Okay, as we do our grouping now, we look for our common factor, 5x. That will leave us with 3x minus 1. And then 2 is our common factor, and that leaves us with a 3x minus 1 again. And then we can pull out the 3x minus 1 out of both. And we have our 5x plus 2. Okay, so again, that is how that process works. So moving on to example 2. Okay, our next example is a bit more of a challenge. We have 12x squared plus 16x minus 35. So we're going to multiply 12 times 35. When we multiply 12 times negative 35, we get negative 420. And then adds to be positive 16. If you've been getting by without listing out factors, now's a really good time to get in that habit, especially when you start dealing with bigger numbers like this. Because it's negative, we know that one will be positive and one will be negative, and we just start going through our list. And you just keep going and going. Now, one thing you can do, if you notice here, is you're adding these up, the sums are getting smaller. To save a little bit of time, if you can pick out one thing that you know that multiplies to be 420, that's maybe a little bit bigger, like for example 10 and 42. Now those add to be 32. We're still not small enough to be 16, so I can skip all that stuff up before 10 and just kind of start with 10. You go up to 11, and then we go on to 12, which will work. And of course we know 12 already because 12 and 35. So that's still not what we need. That's still not quite what we need. So we keep going up. 420, 13 doesn't work. 14 will go in, I believe 30 times, and that's the pair that we need, which is 14 and negative 14 and positive 30. Okay, so we've now found the pair of factors we need. That's really the big work step in a lot of these problems, because now we can do our factoring by grouping. So we rewrite it, 12x squared minus 14x plus 30 minus 35. Alright, we do our grouping for each piece. 12 and 14 we can pull out a 2x, and we'll have 6x minus 7. 30 and I'm sorry, I made a little typo there. That should be 30x. 30x and 35 we can pull out a 5, and again have the 6x minus 7, and then the 6x minus 7 shows up in each. Pull that out, and we have our 2x plus 5. So you're going to run into somewhere you're going to want to list out the factors. And again, if you kind of start seeing the pattern, or the numbers getting bigger and the numbers getting smaller, and then you can kind of jump ahead a little bit if you know some factors of the number. Save a little bit of listing out. Okay, so we're going to continue in another video, look at some more examples of this factoring. Until then.